I'll be ranking all 15 bosses in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Keep in mind that I'll be ranking these fights by gameplay mechanics and my own Star Wars taste. So without further ado, let's use our Jedi skills and determine which mission can reach the light, being our number 1 pick. First, we start off with the dark side, which are my 15th to 10th place bosses. These guys are the bottom of the barrel, and they can be confusing, annoying, cheesy, or just underwhelming. My number 15 spot has to go to Zam Wessel. Before I talk about the boss fight, I just want to mention that getting to this final fight was just a pain, at least for me. Firstly, even though I am well above the age of 7, I struggle to understand what to do for a hot minute. On top of that, these controls are crazy outdated and clunky. Then we go to the boss fight, where all you have to do is literally spam your square button, or whatever is on the Xbox controller, and you eventually defeat Zam Wessel just like that. It's a pretty underwhelming boss fight and struggles to raise stakes even the slightest. Definitely an infamous boss fight for sure. Now, speaking of infamous boss fights, this one is also not so good, and it's the first Boba Fett fight in the mission Betrayal over Bespin for our number 14 spot. The mission has you chase Boba Fett around in Cloud City, and you eventually enter this room. You fight him and hopefully you don't die, because even though his blaster is very overpowered, that's not what I dislike about this mission. The worst part is the fact that you don't get the chance to finish this fight. Seriously, at just one heart, Boba Fett starts running away from you, and you can't even finish the battle at all. Putting the player to fight a guy like Boba Fett, and then having the boss ditch them at one heart is just wasted potential. Like, the stormtroopers in this level genuinely put up a better fight than the actual boss itself. How does that even happen? Seriously. Overall, very cheesy and just underwhelming. And guess what? Another cheesy boss would be none other than this Imperial spy for my number 13 spot. This guy just spawns in stormtroopers, giving you no choice but to take him out. Then, when he appears, you have the chance to shoot at him and make him lose hearts. My reason for putting this so low is for 2 reasons. The obvious one is that this boss doesn't even fight you. The second one, however, is that the shooting mechanics in this game are pretty much pray and spray, given that most of the stormtroopers in this level have the high ground. Now, why did I choose this over the first Boba Fett boss fight and Zam Wessel? Well, it's because I honestly had more frustration towards those bosses than this one. Speaking of frustration, even in the slightest, would be the first Count Dooku fight in the mission Count Dooku for our number 12 spot. The mission starts off strong, with Obi-Wan and Anakin going to fight Count Dooku. The fight seems to be okay until I'm getting Pikachu zapped by Count Dooku. For a good minute, I was standing there confused on what to do while electrocuted. I couldn't move towards him as I would get pushed away, and nor could I stand still as I would die. Eventually, I figured it out, and that it was you had to switch to player 2 and attack Dooku. Seriously though, even if this game was made in 2007, I genuinely wish I had an indicator that you had to switch to player 2 and hit Count Dooku with the lightsaber. Definitely not the worst mission, but it could have been much better with these changes. The next boss would be Darth Vader's spirit in the Dagobah mission for this spot. This mission was already a pain in the you-know-what, and if you know, you know, but that could be another video. Then we get introduced to Darth Vader, but a spirit of him. After like a minute and 25 seconds of attacking him, his death is just him disappearing. Just an underwhelming boss fight due to how short it is, and I feel that as a player, there could have been a quick cutscene of Luke seeing himself just like the movie. Overall, ranking this much higher wouldn't do justice because there are more boss fights that are just better. Now we enter what I like to call the not super light, but not too in the dark side. These missions can tend to be alright, or even decent at best, but not quite the greatest bosses. For my number 10 spot, it is Count Dooku's second boss fight in the mission Chancellor in Peril. For starters, this mission is somewhat similar to Dooku's first boss battle, where you attack him a couple times and he zaps you, making you have to switch to player 2. Personally, this wasn't too bad for me, as I already knew what to do if I was getting electrocuted. However, chasing Dooku down was a bit annoying, considering the fact that there was less lightsaber combat, and it felt like I was fighting the droids more than Dooku himself. Overall, it's not a bad boss fight, but it's just alright at best. Next, for my number 9 spot, would be the second Boba Fett boss from the mission The Great Pit of Carkoon. It tasks you to eliminate Boba Fett while he's on a jetpack and having the high ground. It turns out that this wasn't actually bad. Unlike the first boss in my number 14th spot, this boss battle has a good payoff. The only issue I have with it is that it's just too short. The one thing that gives this boss a little more points than my previous spot was that Boba Fett got stuck on my first playthrough, allowing me to defeat him faster. It was just a really funny moment, and I just had to highlight it. Now, let's look at Boba's father, Jango Fett, and his second boss fight for my number 8 pick. This fight has you chase down Jango Fett on his jetpack as he shoots at you with his 2 blasters. You eventually weaken him, and he resorts to shooting rockets. When you use his last rocket against him, he'll die. The satisfying part about this boss fight was me just beating the crap out of Jango Fett with Mace Windu's lightsaber. Using that rocket rocket on him to finish him off was also good. My only critique about this mission would be the amount of battle droids and geonotions getting in your way. It's just a little bit of a pain. Overall, it's not bad, but bosses I put higher on this list are just better. Now let's enter Jabba's palace and meet the Rancor. This guy from my number 7 spot tries to grab the player. You can use either C-3PO or R2-D2 to open up a hatch for it to spawn in a Gamorrean guard. The Rancor takes one of them, and that's when you have the chance to shoot this crate and bring down debris to do damage on the Rancor. Eventually, the Rancor seems to catch on and stands by his gate when he grabs the guard. When you time it properly, you can trap the Rancor by having 2 characters hit a lever, and just like that, he's defeated. What I like about this mission is the challenge of not dying to a big huge beast. Additionally, the idea of using droids to bring out Gamorrean guards was just interesting. I genuinely don't know anything to say about this boss other than the fact that there is just better bosses. Now, I feel like this is going to be a hot take, but I'm going to put Darth Vader from Cloud City Trap in the number 6 spot, just outside of my top 5. This mission isn't bad by any means. You chase Darth Vader and fight him a few times. My only issue with this mission was when I was trying to get R2 to get Darth Vader off that floor fan looking thing. All these stormtroopers just ambushed me and shot at me. It was just an inconvenience that made me put this outside my number 5 spot. What proceeded after this boss fight was cool though, like the I am your father. Overall, not bad, but I felt this was just the right spot. Now we move on to the light side. These boss fights were genuinely fun and just good to amazing. The number 1 pick in this section will truly reach the light side of the Force and be deemed the strongest.
Hello there.
For my number 5 spot, it would be none other than General Grievous. This boss fight, in my opinion, is really good. Grievous attacking me, the player as Obi-Wan, genuinely felt like a real challenge. I feel the only nitpick I have about this mission, and why I can't place it any higher, is having to go back on the platform to fight Grievous. Depending on the day, it could feel a bit tiring having to go back and forth to fight this dude. I don't have much negatives to say about this mission, but it was really good, and works well for my number 5 spot. Now, for my number 4 spot, it would be none other than Darth Maul. For starters, the music Duel of the Fates is good, and so is this beginning sequence. You have to deflect blaster bolts at these droids and force back the objects Darth Maul throws at you. Then Darth Maul runs and you have to chase him. During this sequence, you have to deal with some battle droids and droidicas. These aren't too bad, as taking them out is straightforward if you're a trained Jedi. However, depending on the day, it can just be a tad annoying. Then we eventually move on to the best part, and that's taking out Darth Maul. During the sequence, you hit him a couple of times and he takes a high ground, throwing objects at you in the process. Personally, this part I found fun and a little challenging, as it requires good timing. Eventually, he returns to the ground level and you finish him off, which is just satisfying. However, it's not quite in my top 3, because in my opinion, these last 3 are just better. Okay, this might be another hot take, but I'd say my number 3 spot would be the first Jango Fett fight in the mission Discovery on Camino. The mission has you chase down Jango Fett, which isn't too bad. However, the ending sequence is just something else. Having a bounty hunter shoot his pistols at you while he has his son Boba Fett shoot at you as well was just really fun. It was genuinely a challenge, as I was just unsure what to do at first, but I figured it out. Seeing Jango Fett just get attacked by his own bullets was sick. The second boss fight with Jango didn't have nearly as much action, which is why the first one beats it by a huge margin. Because of this sole fact that the stakes are higher, I'd 100% place it over Darth Maul. Now we move on to the number 2 spot, and that would be none other than Emperor Palpatine from the mission Jedi Destiny. I swear, this boss fight is just amazing. Like, finally, getting to play as Darth Vader was just sick, and choking out those guards with Vader definitely made me feel invincible. Not to mention, the force lightning part where Palpatine zaps you was light, as I already knew what to do by the time I reached episode 6. But seriously, every lightsaber hit towards Palpatine was satisfying, and no doubt about that. Like, genuinely, I'm curious if anyone put this as their number 1, because I wouldn't blame you if you did. Now we move on to the boss fight that is best of them all, reaching the light as my number 1 pick, and that is none other than Anakin Skywalker, or Obi-Wan if you chose him from the mission, Darth Vader. Yes, even though this beginning sequence killed me and you quite some times, the final boss fight makes up for that. It feels like you are actually having a battle, regardless of the character you use. Heck, the stakes on this mission make it even better, with the rocks you stand on falling into the lava. Personally, the fact that this feels like an actual fight did not leave me underwhelmed. I can just imagine having a friend verse me in this mission, and the stakes would be higher. I can also imagine that some of you watching this probably versed a friend or sibling and really liked the mission, and really liked the boss. Overall, this boss wins, reaching the light side and becoming a true Jedi. So, do you agree with these rankings? I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. If you enjoyed hearing my takes on LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga bosses, hype this video if you're on mobile, like and subscribe. For a fun trip of nostalgia, here's me revisiting LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 years later. Check out now.